I never thought I'd be writing one of these posts. Hell, I never thought I'd be living through something like this. But here I am, 3 weeks after my world completely imploded, trying to make sense of the wreckage. My name is Sarah, and until recently, I had what everyone called the perfect life. 15 years married to Mark, two beautiful kids, Emma, 13, and Tyler, 10. We lived in a gorgeous house in suburban Connecticut. Mark was a successful financial advisor. I freelanced as a graphic designer. We were couple goals. God, I was so fucking naive. It started 3 weeks ago with a text from an unknown number. Check your husband's car trunk tonight, after he gets home from work. I stared at that message, coffee growing cold in my hand. Mark had been working late constantly, 3, sometimes 4 nights a week. He'd come home after 10, claiming difficult clients, smelling like stress and something floral I couldn't identify. At 11:47 p.m., I heard his Mercedes in the driveway. I pretended to sleep, listening to his careful footsteps. When his breathing evened out, I crept downstairs and popped his trunk with shaking hands. Inside was a black duffel bag. When I unzipped it, that floral scent hit me hard. Women's clothes, expensive ones, size 4, definitely not mine. Designer shoes. A jewelry box with a diamond necklace worth more than my car. At the bottom, I found a digital camera. The photos made my blood freeze. A beautiful blonde woman, maybe late 20s. The timestamps went back 2 years. 2 fucking years. Restaurant photos, hotel rooms, intimate moments. But the worst ones were surveillance shots, taken from a distance, clearly without her knowledge. Her walking to her car, entering her apartment, getting coffee. Someone was stalking this woman. My husband wasn't just having an affair, he was stalking her. I put everything back exactly as I found it and spent the next day Googling. I figured out the general area where she lived from background details in the photos. That afternoon, I drove there and waited. After an hour, I saw her. Even more beautiful in person, but she looked scared, constantly checking over her shoulder, walking quickly with her head down. I followed her to a coffee shop called Brew and Bean. She sat alone, nervous, checking her phone constantly. Then Mark's Mercedes pulled up across the street. I watched in horror as my husband walked in and approached her table. Instead of fear, her face lit up with genuine joy. "Mark, you made it." He kissed her. Long, passionate, making other customers stare. They talked animatedly until she showed him something on her phone that made his face go pale. They started arguing. She was gesturing frantically, pointing at her screen. He buried his head in his hands while she touched his shoulder comfortingly. Finally, Mark threw money on the table and stormed out. The woman stayed another 20 minutes, crying. That night, Mark was different. Jumpy, distracted, constantly checking his phone. When I asked about his day, he muttered something about work stress and announced a sudden business trip to Chicago. I checked his trunk again that night. The bag was gone. Over the next few days, Mark became increasingly agitated. The Chicago details didn't add up. He couldn't remember his hotel name or explain what kind of client meeting was so crucial. Friday morning, I was parked outside the woman's apartment when police cars arrived. 20 minutes later, they brought her out. Not arrested, but clearly upset. I followed them to the station and waited. 2 hours later, she emerged looking shaken. I approached her at the bus stop. "Excuse me, are you okay?" She looked up with red, swollen eyes. "Do I know you?" "My name is Sarah." "Sarah Mitchell." Her face went white. "Oh my God, you're his wife." "Oh, so you do know my husband." She started crying harder. "I'm so sorry. I thought you knew. He said you knew." We went to a nearby park where she told me everything. Her name was Jessica. She'd met Mark at a hospital 2 years ago while visiting her dying grandmother. He'd been incredibly supportive, helping her through her grief. "That's when he told me about the divorce," she said. "What divorce?" Jessica stared at me in confusion. "He said you were separated, going through a messy divorce, that you were trying to take the kids and half his assets. He showed me legal papers, divorce documents with official letterheads." My blood turned to ice. "Jessica, Mark and I aren't divorced. We're not even separated." "That's impossible. He showed me court filings, custody hearing dates. He's been lying to both of us. Why were you at the police station?" Because someone's been stalking me for months, leaving gifts, taking photos, following me. I finally got scared enough to report it. The pieces clicked together with horrible clarity. What kind of gifts? Expensive clothes that weren't from Mark, jewelry, and photos of me I never posed for, taken from a distance. She shuddered. The police said it was classic stalker behavior. I thought about the duffel bag, the surveillance camera. Have you been intimate with Mark? She blushed. Only recently, about 3 months ago. Right when the stalking got really bad. He said he wanted to wait until the divorce was final. Create a problem, then be the solution. Make her scared, then be her protector. Jessica, there's something else. She showed me text messages from unknown numbers, detailed descriptions of her routines, threats about what would happen if she kept seeing him, references to her dead grandmother. The worst ones were recent. His wife doesn't deserve him like you do. She's standing in the way of your happiness. What if she just disappeared? When did these start? When did these? About a week ago, right after Mark mentioned his Chicago trip. We sat in horrified silence. Someone was threatening to make me disappear so they could be together. And my husband was planning a mysterious trip with conflicting details. What if he's planning to hurt you? Jessica whispered. That night, I searched Mark's computer while he showered. In his drafts folder, I found an unsent email announcing our separation, written like a public statement to family and friends. In his documents, I found a life insurance policy on my life, taken out 6 months ago, $2 million. Mark was the sole beneficiary. The pieces were all there. Mark was planning to kill me, frame Jessica, collect the insurance money, and eventually find love again with her, who would be so grateful for his support through her legal troubles that she'd never question his story. I had to act fast. His Chicago trip was tomorrow. I called Jessica. We need to meet tonight. I have a plan. At the park, I explained everything: the insurance policy, the draft email, my theory about his plan. So, what do we do? She asked. We're going to beat him at his own game. I outlined my insane plan. Jessica would stage her own disappearance Sunday evening, then hide at a motel across town. Meanwhile, I'd wait for Mark to make his move. It took hours to convince her, but finally she agreed. Sunday evening, Mark kissed me goodbye, claiming his flight to Chicago. I'll call when I land. At 9 p.m., Jessica called, terrified. Sarah, Mark isn't in Chicago. His car is at my apartment building. Get to the motel and lay low. But 20 minutes later, I heard a car in our driveway. Mark was home. Flight got delayed until tomorrow, he said, appearing in our bedroom doorway with something in his hand, a syringe. Mark, what's that? Sarah, we need to talk. I know you've been following me. I know you talked to Jessica. My heart pounded. He knew everything. Let me explain, he said, sitting on the bed's edge. Do you remember when I started at Hartwell Financial 3 years ago? The signing bonus? Of course. There was no signing bonus. Hartwell Financial doesn't exist. For 3 years, I've been laundering money for very dangerous people. People who make you disappear if you try to leave. The room tilted. What? Everything. Our house, cars, the kids' schools. Paid for with dirty money. 3 months ago, the FBI started closing in. When they make arrests, everyone goes down, including me. But I don't know anything. I know, but they think you do. They think you're a loose end. He held up the syringe. They've given me an ultimatum. Take care of this Sarah problem myself or they'll send someone else. So you're going to kill me. Sedate you. Make it look like an overdose. Jessica was supposed to be my alibi. His voice cracked. But Jessica figured it out. Called me this afternoon, said she'd rather go to the FBI than help murder an innocent woman. Where is she? She's dead, Sarah. My associates killed her when she threatened to expose everything. They made me watch. I felt sick. Sweet, innocent Jessica was dead. Now I have 2 choices, Mark continued. Inject you and maybe live long enough to disappear, or refuse, and watch them kill us all, including Emma and Tyler. The kids? They'll eliminate all loose ends. Let me stage this as an accident. Amy will raise the kids and they'll never know what their father really was. There has to be another way. There is nowhere we could run they wouldn't find us. This way, at least the kids live. For the first time, he broke completely, tears streaming down his face. Do you think this is what I wanted? To become a criminal? To have to choose between murdering you and watching our family get slaughtered? Looking into his eyes, I saw the truth. He was as trapped as I was. Mark, what if there was a third option? What if you could make them think I was dead without actually killing me? What do you mean? That sedative. What is it exactly? A paralytic. It would slow your breathing and heart rate to almost nothing, make you appear dead for several hours. But I wouldn't actually be dead. No, but they'll want the body cremated immediately. You'd die anyway. Not if Amy helped us. She could claim the body for burial, then get me medical help instead. Mark stared at me. That might work. If Amy confirmed you were dead, signed the papers, I'd have maybe 6 hours before the paralytic wore off. I called Amy, explaining we were in serious trouble and needed her help with something that would sound insane. Just tell me what you need me to do, she said. An hour later, everything was in place. Amy knew exactly what to say when police called about finding my body. She had a doctor friend who could help without questions. Are you ready? Mark asked, holding the syringe. I looked around our bedroom one last time. I'm ready. The injection hurt less than expected. Within minutes, my limbs grew heavy, breathing shallow. Mark cried as he positioned my body, scattered the empty pill bottle. I love you, he whispered. I'm so sorry. Take care of the kids, I managed. Then everything went black. I woke up 3 days later in an unfamiliar hospital room with a face I didn't recognize in the mirror. Amy's doctor friend had given me a new life. Shorter, darker hair, different colored eyes, subtle changes to my features. Sarah Mitchell is buried in Riverside Cemetery, Amy told me. Beautiful funeral. Mark left town that night, supposedly too grief-stricken to stay. The kids? Safe with me, dealing with it as well as can be expected. That was 6 months ago. I'm writing this from Portland, Oregon, where I work as a waitress and go by Rachel. Red hair now, freckles from cosmetic work. I look nothing like Sarah Mitchell. I don't know what happened to Mark. I hope he's alive, that he managed to disappear successfully. But I can never look for him. Amy sends coded letters. Emma made honor roll. Tyler scored his first soccer goal. They're healing, moving on. Sometimes I think they're better off without the mess Mark and I made. But late at night, I grieve for the life I lost, for children who think I'm dead, for the woman I used to be. Sarah Mitchell is gone forever. Maybe that's okay. Maybe Rachel deserves a chance at the quiet, honest life Sarah never had. I miss them every day. I love them every day. And I'll spend the rest of my life hoping that was enough.